Hello, Maureen Maxwell. Welcome to Pastas del Camino,
Hello.
a project within the Camino Santiago to the Camino. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It's a pleasure for me to have you here talking with me about the Camino. And I want to say before we start, you have a friend in me. Anything you need, please just ask. And if sometime you can go back to Spain or even Portugal, please let me know. I'll be glad to meet you in person.
Hoping for September this year. We'll
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hoping for August this year when this might.
Yeah.
So, can you explain to us how we decided to walk the Camino?
Mhm. Hmm. In 1999, I was diagnosed with cancer at the base of my tongue. So I had facial scars and I have an accent that is hard to describe. People think I'm French, Spanish, any eccentricity but from the USA. But my accent is from surgery. So while I was recovering, which took almost 10 years, um, in 2001, a teacher of my son's gave me the book, The Camino. That is a book that most people do not like because they do not like the author and felt that she was not authentic, but it resonated with me because I find her to be magical. And from the year 2000, I knew I wanted to walk a Camino, the Camino Frances. And it wasn't until 2010 I was at a women's group and I had someone who had walked. And at the end of the presentation, we all had to stand up and make an intention. And I set the intention that I would walk the Camino Frances to Santiago in 2015. Now, we make a lot of promises to ourselves in our lives. But when you set an intention in front of a powerful room of women with high energy, you better do what you say. So I did. I walked the Camino the first time in 2015.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Imagine now, hard question. This is hard.
Uh,
Imagine if somehow um, you can go back to your best moment on the Camino.
oh, that's so easy. So
That's
easy.
easy. So tell me, please.
At the end of the Meseta,
Yeah,
which most people hated,
yeah.
if you can remember it, right at the end to the right is a single tree, and there was shade. And at the end of the Meseta, you make a right hand turn to go into the town of, I pronounce it right, Castillevetes. And there's this tree. And it was a sunny day. I was hot. I think I was out of water. And as soon as I made that right hand turn, I sat at that tree, deciding, okay, it's almost the end of the day. What should I do now? As I sat there, I met a few people that kept walking. I kept sitting. When I finally got up, I was at St. Antoine. and the ark was there. And everyone else walked straight through the ark of the ruins of St. Antoine. I did not. I made a left and ended up spending the entire afternoon at St. Antoine, being fed water and bread and talking to those that were there. And I'm a healer, I'm a reflexologist. Didn't know at that time that that's what St. Antoine was. They were monks who were healers. I never felt so at peace.
That's
I
amazing.
wanted to stay there that night, but I already had a reservation in town.
Oh,
So I walked, I stopped at the church, spent time there, as you enter the town, the church is to the right. And then the town is just so long. And I felt lost. I didn't know where my hotel was. And it was 5 o'clock in the evening. And I guess I was walking around looking confused. And guess who I met? I met Mao. Now, if you know who Mao is, he is a gentleman who has the sanctuary just as you enter town. And his words to me were, "Oh, a true pilgrim, it is almost dusk, and here you are looking for a place to stay."
that's
There
amazing.
was so much more magic in that less than 24 hours in that town that no matter what Camino I walked, I want to go back to that town.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. So for you, what was the most amazing places that you passed by walking?
I'm sorry. The what? I'm sorry.
Um, what were the most amazing places that you passed by walking the Camino?
Oh my goodness, there were so many. But one that I remember, right after the cruise to Faro,
Yeah.
I was walking by myself, and there was a man on the side of the road sitting down. And I recognized him. It was this big, tall, handsome Italian man that we kept crossing paths all along the Camino. He wasn't very friendly. I was. I'm wearing a scarf that I always wore, and I always wore sunflowers in my hair as I walked. He recognized me and for the first time smiled. But guess what? He had a compound fracture of his ankle. As he was always in a hurry, always into his own space, and he had broken his ankle. So he was like 6'1". I'm like 5'2". And if you remember, the climb down from the cruise is not easy. It's hilly, it's rocky, lots of little rocks. So I had to help him go down. And when we ended, where we ended is where, right now I can't remember his name. It's a small town between Cruz de Ferro and the Cebu. The one man who lives there and is living there this year, he always wears pilgrim's outfits. Can't remember his name.
Mazarin?
Yes, I met
Tomás.
him.
Tomás.
Yes,
Tomás.
Tomas, thank you. So there is Tomas. Seeing me coming with this man runs and helps me. He called a taxi, and I ended up taking this gentleman to the hospital. And he spoke Italian, I spoke English. That's all I know is we hugged, and he said thank you. And I've never seen him again, but I'm hoping someday I'll meet up with him. There's a reason he was so into himself, and the reason he was walking was for his dead mother. And he was crying when I met him because he was so sad that his Camino had to end. So I'm hoping someday that I find out that his Camino did not end and that he went back.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I honestly met a lot of amazing people, a lot. When I look back, that 2 months felt like years.
It's really amazing. It's amazing. Why you love the Camino so much?
I don't know. I think,
Good answer. Good answer.
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of, I'm a very meditative person. If you see, I have an altar up because it is the Lunar New Year. And I am a what's called Qigong practitioner. I meditate every day. So I am comfortable being within myself. So I don't go to the Camino to get away or to find myself. I think I go because I feel so centered there. Because during the day, I walk solo. I mean, I'm friendly to people. I stop at every cafe for a coffee, a pastry, a beer, a vino tinto. I like to stop. I take my time. So when I stop, I meet people. But when I'm walking, I'm solo. So I think what I like the best is it's the best of both worlds. You can be within, but yet part of the community. So it's balanced. It's yin and yang. It's a balanced place to be.
Actually, that's really nice. Really nice to hear that. That's amazing. That's really a good answer of it. That's um, mm, let me look a little bit for of my caminos.
Yeah.
For me, the most challenging part of them, I had five. I have 5 caminos.
And then I had to.
Not as large as yours, but I have done it 3 times the Camino Portuguese, 2019 the Primitivo, and in 2020 I was one of the few pilgrims that walked the Camino in last year, and I have done it the Winter Camino. That's a Camino that starts in Ponferrada. It's an alternative to the French way. Um, and for me, in each of these Caminos, the most challenging part of it was for me struggling mentally with some things that happened on Camino. Not more on the Primitivo. There's something that's happened on the Primitivo that put me a lot to struggling mentally with me on that Camino. And for you, what was the most challenging part of walking the Camino?
From Sarria on, because right before Sarria, my knee decided to not work, my right knee. And I had to have my jaw replaced. So a bone from my leg was used. And walking all those miles, my body realized that I walk different to compensate for missing a bone in my leg. Therefore, my right knee reacted. There was nothing wrong, nothing broken. It was just stress. And it did not show up until right before Saria. So
I guess we're struggling a lot, everyone.
yeah, so making it to the end, that last 10 days was very hard.
What were the feelings for me? I don't know. It's a mix of all feelings, but sometimes I cry, sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm pensive, sometimes I am alone. Uh, it's a mix of feelings while walking the Camino. For I guess it's for everyone. But for you, what were the feelings that accompany that accompany? Sorry, that you lived on the Camino. What were the feelings while walking the Camino?
Like you said, mixed, happy, sad, feeling unworthy, um, living my past lives and forgiving others, forgiving the whole gamut. As you said, everything bubbles up. Your life, your relatives' lives, everyone, everything. Yes, everything. Not one thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for this song. I'm just sharing. It's so amazing. I'm just so happy. So happy.
I am too. I have to tell you, I was supposed to walk the Camino Portuguese last year in 2020. So where do you live in Portugal?
It depends. No, it depends on the Camino that you want to do. Actually, I lived on the Camino. I live in a in a place in a town called Braga that are in kilometers. Let me tell you, 200 kilometers from Santiago to Santiago.
So you're almost in Galicia,
Yeah.
right?
The Camino Portuguese, the central one, the most historical, not the coastal way, not the coastal way, the Portuguese
The
one,
inner.
the inner, yeah, exactly, the inner Camino. It's my Camino, okay. I am volunteer there at an albergue, in a town called Barcelos, um, and that Camino passes like I don't know 15 miles from my house. 15 miles.
Right.
It's near close. But even in my town, uh, there are I don't know like 6 different caminos that passes here.
Wow.
Four of them are official. Two start in my hometown, but they are all not well known. But there are caminos. You can do it and get a Compostela too. There are caminos to Santiago. There are four of them that passes here in Braga. Four of them.
Wow.
The
Wow.
two other more that not official, but this for two starts in Braga, two other passes in Braga. That's another different pilgrimage. It's not Camino Santiago, but it's similar. It's been to, it's between you went, you know. There's this sanctuary here in Braga dedicated to our Virgin Mary. It's called Santuario Samero and connects this Camino. It's called Via Mariana. Connects
Oh yeah. Sorry, yes.
and connects this Camino to Muxia.
To Lucia. Lucia is my heart. That's where I want to live. Yes.
And this Camino, it's called Via Mariana, connects
Yes.
Braga to Muxia.
And it's new. It's a new Camino. Yes.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. I know part of it.
Next year.
It's really amazing. Let me tell you.
In September.
And you can meet me.
Yes. In September, if we can travel, my Camino with two friends that are nurses will be from Santiago to Murcia, a small Camino that I find easy for people that want to have the experience, but don't have the time, only have a week or two.
Yes,
So I will be in your area and I will meet you. Because I hope to be volunteering in Santiago and spending time in Croatia.
Croatia, it's an amazing country. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So imagine another imagination. I'm full of imagination.
Me too.
Imagine if for some reason we have to live the same day every day. Okay?
Yes.
And when this magic happens, you are walking the Camino. So you have to walk every day the same stage. Which stage you choose?
Probably between C and Lucia.
Ooh, nice answer. Nice answer. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. Because you have the coastline, you have a country, you have small towns, farm towns, and you have the eucalyptus. And there's just a magic about that area that I found fit my personality.
Let me tell you a story that this didn't happen with me, but it's really magical. I don't know. It was a pilgrim. I was doing a video like this, and he told me that each time he went to do the stage, I don't know. I guess it was to Muxia, then to Finisterre. And every time there's a place, I don't know where exactly, he passes dry and he picks up like this green rock, and it's full of energy. He says to me, it's really special for him. This green rock, and picks up every time one. In one of his last Caminos, he was doing the Camino with his wife, but his wife it's really struggling a bit, so he instead of goes to Muxia, he goes directly to Finisterre. In this place, small place before Finisterre, I don't know where. It stops at a cafe for drinking some, and there's like this. I don't know. I guess it was a Portuguese guy, and he sees this guy that I told me the story. Tell me the story, and he says to him, I have something for you," and he gives him a green rock.
The universe is amazing. Yes.
After recording, I will tell you mine. I will tell you.
Okay.
So our question, it is the first time that I will do this question with you. So as a woman, how will you feel it's about walking the Camino alone?
I booked every night ahead of time. And there are times when I wish I hadn't, because you find fabulous places. But being alone, it felt good not to have to be on my phone to book every day. And it felt good to know my destination. Now, I didn't rush to it. Sometimes I wouldn't get to my hotel till 7, but in Spain and Portugal, that's not even dinner time yet. No. So it didn't matter. The only time I understood that I was solo was I got into Astorga early. I don't remember why. I think it was my plans were not typical from the book. And I was walking into town, and it was noon, and there was a church. As you come into Astoria, before you get to town, there's a church on the right. And I stopped in because it was Mass. And it was near the end, so I wasn't there the whole time. But at the end of Mass, the priest walked up to me and embraced me as he was leaving. And then every person in the church, which was not that many people at noon on probably a Wednesday, just older women and a couple of ancient men, might have been 8 to 10. They all came and nodded or hugged me. I was like, what? And I hugged and nodded back, took my sticks and walked out of the church thinking, what was that? And ended up in a small cafe in town and ordered, of course, a hot chocolate. And as I did, the two townspeople beside me said, are you from the USA? I said, yes. And they said, bless you. And then the person behind the bar paid for my coffee and gave me a box of chocolates. I had no idea why until later on in the day. That was the day they found the man who had murdered the United States woman who was killed right outside of Astoria. So as I walked into that town, the whole town were happy that he was found. I forget her name. Was it Julie? I'm sorry, I forget names, not experiences. But these people in this town were embracing and blessing me because they were so happy to see a single woman from the United States walking solo. They were so embarrassed by what had happened. They were so full of love that
the woman was called Denise.
Denise, yes, thank you. Yes. So the day I walked into Astoria at noon was the day they had arrested the man right outside the town who killed her. So they were happy. It was, yeah. So that I was never, ever, ever afraid walking solo. But that day I was like, what is happening?
That's amazing. Now I have
and I had known about Denise because I had actually carried a shell for her, but I had not known where it all happened. So yeah.
So that's amazing. Now
I told you
it's a good story. It's a good story.
I told you my Camino, like Shirley MacLaine's, was truly magical. It was. It was truly magical.
Now I have a challenge for you. A challenge for you. So I will show you, and I will put recording 2 songs, 2 different songs, and you just have to connect the 2 of them to the Camino. Okay? For you, being American, I guess it's easier, but we don't know. Let's see. Okay? No, not this. This. Okay, this is another second one. You already listened. I forgot that I will do this with you, but okay, there's no problem.
That's okay.
Thank you, silence. For everything.
She's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what have these two songs have in common with the Camino?
Well, the first one, I always loved the lounge music that was everywhere on the Camino. And I happen to love bagpipes and just the flair. So that just reminded me of the sounds in every cafe. The second one, well, I think when we're on the Camino, if we walk with our hearts open, we are walking naked. We are walking with our deepest self on the outside and saying to people, thank you, thank you, Buen Camino, thank you. Buen Camino, I see your soul, I see you. So
That's amazing. Do you know that actually it's a really, really good answer. I was looking for that, but it's really good. What these songs in common? So for you, you don't, but you discover more lately. But how most of the American pilgrims learned about the Camino? What was the reason? 2010.
well, Americans, too many of them are ugly. Sorry. There's a lot of ugly Americans on the Camino, and I met a lot of them. That's all they do is complain about the food, the weather, the beds. Um,
That's in every Camino.
I think many Americans came to the Camino because of the movies that you put up first.
Yeah.
And I remember, I have a picture someplace. I need to organize my pictures, but it was a sign. You might have seen it. It said, stop. If you are here because you saw the way, go home. This is not Hollywood. And that's kind of how I felt. And I think it's 50-50. We're a big country, but 50% of us are ugly Americans. And that's pretty evident today with our politics.
Yeah, that is
We're
the
a big
news.
country. It's like, you take Brazil and Spain,
Together.
totally different countries. Mexico and Antigua, totally. But we're big, so we represent everything under the sun. So wherever we go, we're seen as one entity, but we're not. There's some ugly states that are like ugly countries.
This was one of the most amazing pictures I take on the Camino. You see
Yeah,
that stop sign?
yeah, yeah.
I will enlarge it. Look what this says.
Never stop loving. Yes, yes. Yeah.
This was on the Primitivo.
See, the Primitivo has so many ups and downs.
Yes, but you know it's hard. It's hard Camino, but you know
Yeah, with my
I guess what is beautiful about the Camino is okay. It's hard, but the sightseeing, it's out of the ordinary. It's extraordinary. It's really amazing, and it compensates the hardness of walking the ups and downs. So I guess the beauty of it, it's much more. It gave you much more than the hardness of it. So It's amazing.
Maybe someday I'll make it to that. That is on my list. But
And you can take with your time. You don't have to do the usual stages. You can do small stages. It's just amazing.
yes, yes.
If
Well, see,
if you can't go from that mythical stage, that's it's the most amazing thing that you have ever seen in your life. It's really amazing. If you want to go because it's hard, it's like I don't know 20 miles without anything, just hard mountains. But you have an alternative. You can go from the bottom, from the south. You can. It's beautiful anyway. So it's amazing.
see,
I'm so.
I I live on 5 miles from parts of the Appalachian
It's
Trail,
okay. Yeah.
so the 2,000 miles. So I was never called to real primitive because I can do that here. I can get on and walk for 20 miles and see no one.
Yeah.
So when I'm in Spain, I kind of like the caminos that have all the little towns where I can walk and stop for a cafe, a wine, a beer, a snack. Um, and maybe that seems touristy to many, but I spend a lot of my time meditating. So I don't need all day, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I understand you. I understand you.
Yeah, yeah. But the beauty of the Platino, that is look, look. The snow suns, yes. Yes. And look, amazing, amazing.
I don't know
Yes.
what to do. For me. It's just I don't know.
Nice, nice. Lunch, yes.
Lunch
I love
made
food.
by
Yeah.
me, made by me, of course.
Oh, beautiful.
I don't know. For me, it was so special this Camino.
Oh, look. Yeah.
I don't know. I can go behind a bit because behind it's the stage. That stage I was talking about.
Look at those mountains. Oh,
It's
yeah.
every day. For me, I don't know. Until arrived in the last 10K, uh, every stage. So each day, every stage was better than the last one,
That
and the
is
first
so,
and the first stage was just so amazing.
that's what I love. I love walking under the wind farms, the windmills.
Yes,
I
it's
love
amazing.
that. Oh, look it. Uh, uh,
This is I don't know.
dinner. Do
This
you know
this is
how?
amazing.
Oh,
This,
look, look.
I had a mess in this search was so amazing. I don't know. Look at this.
So, what are you walking this? What did you walk last year?
Last year,
Yeah.
walk the Winter Camino.
Oh, okay. Nice. Nice.
This was in 2020,
Yeah.
2019. This
Yeah.
year was the winter. Look at
Nice.
this.
Uh, uh. Oh, look at that.
This is a chapel.
Uh,
This is a chapel, small one. It is a
uh,
chapel.
that's beautiful. Oh, I want to be there.
You need to go, believe me.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. As soon as I can. As soon as I can.
You need to go. I don't know. It's just
I know. Yeah. I know.
so. Maureen, one last question before we
Yeah.
finish in here. What advice would you give to someone who will start a pilgrimage soon enough?
Number one, don't be like me and take too much stuff. My first Camino, I took too much stuff. I got rid of half of it in Pamplona and the other half every place on the way. Don't take too much. If you need something, you can find it. And don't read too many books. Don't look for too much advice. Just go with your intuition, go with the time you have, and just enjoy it. And I don't know, if you don't, I like booking ahead of time because I'm by myself. And then I don't have to have my phone or worry. But I just want to say, just go and enjoy. That's all. Just enjoy. Enjoy. And you don't need to know that much. You learn as you go. And every time you go back, you learn more. Just enjoy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maureen. We're finishing here. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your amazing, amazing, and magical story.
I will see you this year, I promise.
Please come. Please, if you can come.
At the house.
And actually, I will do more something for you.
Okay.